Under the Fall River Conservation Commission meeting being held at public hearing on Monday, September 26, 2022 at 5:15 in the first floor hearing room, 1 Government Center, Fall River. To consider the petitions listed in this notice.
These are just for them to take.
Pursuant to the open meeting laws, any person may make an audio or video recording of this public meeting or may transmit the meeting through any medium. Attendees are therefore advised that such recording or transmissions are being made whether perceived or unperceived by those present and are deemed acknowledged and permissible. Roll call.
Paul Amaro.
Jim Cusick.
Louis Ferrera.
John Brandt. We're missing Jim Hornsby, and Chris Boyle should be with us momentarily. We also have from the Planning Department Danny Aguiar, Patty Aguiar, and Forward TV Alex Mello. Old business is a notice of intent SE-24-806. Applicant is the City of Fall River. Owner is American Consolidated Corp. Project location is OWS North Main Street. Assessors map is T-16-0014. Filed by VHB on behalf of applicant. The applicant proposed to conduct a culvert maintenance and repair, including construction of a stone check dam. This was tabled from September 12, 2022 hearing.
Thank you very much, Commission. Paul Furlan, Administrator of Community Utilities for the City of Fall River. So this project is in relation to work that's being done on the rail, as well as an area that we have over next to Collins Street, off of North Main Street. Steep Brook comes from area, originally starts up in the industrial park, flows down, crosses Highland Avenue, continues to come down to this one point, crosses in a culvert underneath the railroad tracks, just adjacent to the south of Collins Street, and eventually discharges out into the Taunton River. This area is under heavy rain. The culvert can be overwhelmed and flow go out into Collins Street. During some construction out there that the railway has been doing, they made some minor improvements, but there are other improvements that need to be made. There's one section of the culvert that's partially collapsed that they are planning to repair, as well as improve the area leading into that culvert to better the water quality flowing through that culvert and out into the river. So that's kind of a broad overview of the whole entire project, and I will turn it over to the specialist to talk about the areas of impact that fall underneath the Commission's guidance.
Thank you, Paul. I'm Dr. Lars Carlson, professional wetland scientist with VHB. With me tonight is Ken Caputo. He's a civil engineer working on the project. I'm going to start out and give you folks an overview of the existing conditions, and then Ken will talk about the engineering factors. I do want to thank you all for coming out tonight. I realize this is not your usual hearing, and we appreciate you hearing us tonight. So the first sheet shows on this side, this is a plan view of the situation where the train tracks are down here. North Main Street is up at the top. There's an existing 48-inch pipe that comes out from the bottom of a very tall stone wall that then the flow in the brook proceeds down through a fairly short section of channel, and then it enters a grate that's on just a grate that's on the ground, and then it drops down to down to the bottom, where it then enters an existing stone box culvert that was built as part of the railroad. When you look at it in profile, that's on this side. The water comes out from the bottom of the wall, flows down, and there's an existing sewer line that's out there supported on a bridge, and that's what this structure is right here. So that's why it looks like something's going through the brook, but it's not. The sewer line is actually elevated by several feet above the ground, and it's really sort of supported on a de facto bridge. This structure is not there now, but this is where the proposed check dam would be if we get approved tonight. And then here's the grate, and then once it enters the grate, it actually drops down quite some distance, maybe 5, 6, 7 feet, until it then goes horizontally in the stone box culvert under the tracks, and then the outlet down here into the Taunton River. Resources on site include a riverfront area, 25-foot riverfront here in Fall River because it is a perennial stream. We have the wetland buffer zone. We have bank, the buffer zone is in blue, the riverfront is in orangish, and then the bank is in blue. There is no bordering vegetated wetland. There was no wetland vegetation either on the bank or significantly in the channel. And then the whole area is land subject to coastal storm flowage associated with storm events in the river that just back up or flow up through the street and onto the site. So that's the existing conditions. I'll turn it over to Ken to talk about proposed work, as shown on the second sheet.
Thanks, Lars. Again, Ken Caputo with VHB. Pleasure to be here tonight. And I'm going to cut you off.
That's what I've seen.
You told me more about my plans than I did myself, so we don't have to see them. In all seriousness, Dan did review the plans and gave us some really helpful, constructive comments that we made some revisions to improve upon the improvements that we already planned. As Lars pointed out, you understand the system coming in now, and Paul as well. It's a large area. It's a lot of flow coming into this historically, so we have to manage it. What we saw is we have to manage it better. All right, it is a culvert that's inlet and outlet are outside the railroad right-of-way, so we don't look at that as a railroad culvert. There's a lot of culverts along the railroad with a head wall, inlet head wall, and an outlet head wall that are right at the railroad right-of-way lines. Those are what they are. Those are railroad culverts. This one, it's outside that. However, the MBTA recognized that its functionality was as much of importance to the MBTA as it was the city. So with Gene's help and Holly, they're both MassDOT and MBTA here with us tonight. The MBTA has agreed to make improvements, do some restoration work on the culvert, and do some things that are preventative in terms of long-term maintenance. So first, we found that with the overflow of water, and it's just gotten worse and worse. And I've been on this project for not as long as Gene has, but long enough to know that there was a major change in conditions out there last year with just constant overflow going down Collins Street. And DPW in its history has built a trough along Collins Street. It just wasn't working. It was just constant overflow. When we did the investigation, what we found was that the culvert, literally up at this end, at the inlet end, it's a 3x4 box, granite box culvert. It had about that much ceiling clearance from the top of the silt layer to the top of the culvert, which explained why it was overflowing so much. So, and when you look at this area, it looks like, beach sand along the Saco River up in Maine, if you're familiar with that. It's real sandy side, so you can see how a lot of silt over time could build up inside this culvert. So to date, what we've done on emergency repair is we got in there up at this half of the culvert right here, and we cleaned it out completely. And that with a vac truck. We didn't blow it down into the Taunton River. We sucked it out into trucks, which worked, but it was a very extensive job because of that profile last year. We had to build supportive excavation, basically a vertical shaft to get down to the culvert. We still have to do that right here at the beginning of where the culvert first passes underneath the road. There's still one more obstruction that we have to literally open heart surgery here. We gotta dig it out again in this area to remove, the debris is too big for the vac truck to get it. We have to get in there and get closer. So we're gonna do that. Now, what it taught us though was, okay, we don't wanna do this again. Or we certainly don't wanna do it anytime soon, that's for sure. So we looked at with the city what preventative measures we could do to try to mitigate this from happening over time. So what we're proposing tonight is a pervious stone weir with a pipe passage through across this channel, basically, and to make this area that you guys are I'm sure, very familiar with new development. When they build stormwater detention basins, they have 4 bays in them. And the 4-bay, its whole purpose is to settle out those sediments before they get into the detention or retention basin and ruin its permeability, because you want that water to infiltrate through. Same approach. We want to turn this, basically, without changing any of it in its existing resource area configuration and condition. We want to simply create a footprint here that makes this area function like one of those 4 bays, so that those sediments get trapped before they get to the culvert inlet, which is down here. So we have a pervious berm built up with a riprap apron on both sides. And also, while we're at it, you know, you're in there, you're doing all this repair work, you see a little, the outlet condition from the street drainage here needs to be refurbished as well, with riprap, so that it more of a splash pad type setup. So we're gonna get in there and repair and refurbish that as well, the way it was intended to be. We can do that right over the wall. So there's not gonna be any equipment in here doing this, except right here. And they'll come in from this staging area that is used right now for dock storage over the winter. So we gotta get in there before the docks get there. And it's important to the captain,
The property owner,
everyone
yeah.
calls him, down there at the marina, that we get this done before he stages for the winter with all the docks from the marina. So we do want to do that. We don't want to impact his operation any more than he's already been impacted. He's been very helpful to the project. We rebuilt Collins Street, maybe some of you saw it. Pretty cool operation there, putting that bridge in and increasing its clearance a little bit more than what it used to be. So, you know, our railroad work through here is done, but we have to deal with this culvert. So that's what we're doing. We're gonna put this weir in to check dam, call it, to create that 4-bay condition with the approach aprons. One suggestion from the city that we did add was we did put a pipe in, a ductile iron pipe. What size pipe was that?
12-inch.
Huh?
It's a 12.
12-inch. And Paul and the city have graciously contributed to stick a pipe for us to use, so we don't have to wait, because getting ductile iron pipe right now is not quick. So we're ready to go on this and make these final improvements and do this work to try to mitigate and manage the situation further, so that we don't end up with the same problem, you know, in a short period of time from when all of this effort gets done. This has been a pretty intensive effort. Nobody wants to go through and deal with that again, and it's very costly. It's not just like roto-rootering a sewer line, you know.
Yep.
So that's where we're at. That's what we got. So Gene or Holly, do you have anything?
Just want to
Okay.
make Cat and Dan happy.
All right.
So, yeah, just,
Yeah, because
just to,
there is that nuance of the property owner and who's responsible for all of the things.
yeah, exactly, and there's multiple things involved. So the property owner is American Consolidated, which is actually the same as the marina that's down there at O'Connell's Boatyard. So they own the property. The city, we filed as the applicant, working with Mass DOT and BTA. As they mentioned, presently there's no cost to the city. We're gonna give them a stick of pipe because it's very tough to get, but we have it in stock so that they'll be able to get their work done this fall prior to any work. But this is a major undertaking that they're doing as part of their overall railway project moving through the city.
So this will alleviate flooding, and the flow of the water when it eventually leaves be clearer and smoother.
Yeah, exactly. Cleaner water going through there, being discharged out into the Taunton River, more water capacity through the actual culvert. On a 100-year storm, is that culvert gonna take all the flow? Probably not. We may still overtop onto Collins Street, but that'll be greatly reduced.
Board
And
have any
by-
questions?
Sorry. And I was just gonna say, by making that check dam structure, once that fills up with sediment, you can see it, right? So that the city could go in and clean that out, put new stone in before the whole culvert gets plugged up like it did this
Yeah.
time.
There will be maintenance in the future, we've talked about that, but at least you'll be able to see it,
Right,
See, if it happens down under the ground in that culvert, no one can see it. And that's why it got to the state of condition it did. For years, the captain and his family have said, oh, we get in there every couple of springs and, clear the leaves off of that, and they do all kinds of things. What they couldn't see was what was happening underground, and that buildup, that slow buildup of sediment. And since we removed that sediment, I don't think there's been any overflow on Collins Street, even though there's still an obstruction right at the railroad line that we gotta
but it's
take
better.
out.
Yeah,
Just
it's
opening up that
better.
much, the recent storms,
better.
they've been able to pass through.
truck on, it's better.
Yeah, it hasn't been going, I think we still have that other obstruction that needs to get out of there, including the rest of the field.
What is the location of the other obstruction, the final obstruction you wanna clear out?
Roughly, right, it's in the rail bed,
Okay.
in the
A
track.
little
within
square on page 2,
Yeah.
there's a little square just above
It's in an upland area within
above
the,
station
within the track bed.
259150.
Right, it's within the
It says
railroad.
approximate location of 14 pit to remove obstruction. It's out of the resource area.
And that's at a later date anyway, right?
No,
Oh, it's
that
gonna be
will
done
be-
now.
Yes.
Oh, yeah, it's all being done at the
Yeah.
same time. That's why it was important to have the contractor who's there doing this work be able to continue on and do the remaining work upstream.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have to hire out any of this, there's no period to retain it, we're gonna use the contractor that's been rebuilding the railroad, he's also a heavy civil contractor, been doing the bridges, been doing the other culverts up and down the line, so qualified contractor, I think a lot of people in the area know,
DW.
DW White Construction.
Okay. And the timeframe, obviously you're looking to get it done
Yeah, yesterday. we-
expeditious, but, yeah,
As soon as we can get them out there.
yeah. Oh, but as far as the construction itself,
Oh, how long would it take?
how long?
It's gonna probably be we're actually gonna do the repair, the underground repair, the box here and dig
Yeah.
that down. We're actually gonna do that over what we call a 5-day shutdown. Cause we can't have any rail
Trains.
traffic going by us when we're open. It's just a safety issue
Mhm.
that we wanna be ultra conservative and say no more trains for 5 days. So that'll happen. That'll probably be 24 hours, 5 days, 24-hour days to get that done. They'll get that buttoned up. If they can get in there, they just made a submittal on their supportive excavation. We're gonna review that this week. So I think they're gonna be moving to get in for that repair before Columbus Day. And as soon as they're done with that, this work here will probably take a day or two. And then they'll back out and they're gonna clean it up nice and neat so that the captain can get his docks in there and grade out a nice pad and stone it so that's clean too. We don't wanna leave any open gravel. It's not a loam and seed condition because of what the marina wants to use the space for. So we're gonna cap it with clean crushed stone.
Okay.
Any other questions?
So the hope is that we trap some of that sediment on the check dam itself. What does maintenance look like for that? Because I know the way it is now on the culvert, we couldn't see the sediment, but is there gonna be ongoing maintenance to look at the check dam?
Yeah, it's gonna be, I suspect it would be a series of annual visual inspection.
Yeah, so currently, between the sewer division and the property owner, we've annually gone out there to, pick the leaves off the grade and maintain the stuff. This is gonna need continued maintenance, just like any stormwater infrastructure.
Is that a responsibility of the city or?
So far, it's been a shared responsibility between the city and the property owner, and moving forward, it'll most likely be them.
All right, can I have a motion of intent with the normal standard of conditions?
Motion so made?
Seconded.
Roll call vote?
Yes.
Aye.
Vote passes.
Thank you very much.
Folks,
Thank you.
citizen input, citizen have any?
Nope. We've got another meeting coming up. I think that's what they're for.
Can I have a
Oh,
motion
different
to
meeting.
adjourn?
Yeah.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Roll call vote?
Aye.
Passes, meeting adjourned. Thank you, folks.
Who made that motion?